Hey y'all, it's Mike. I am going to join in on a fun little, I don't know, basic review challenge fun thing that the Horrorman started, I guess, a few weeks ago. And of course, I don't get any notifications or anything, so I did not realize this was going on until I saw my other friend Jennifer Tochi doing this in a video today, and it is called 2 for Tuesday. So each week you do your top two favorite horror movies for whatever year it is, and they're already up to 78. So I'm just going to run through my picks for 1970 up to 78. I'll make it quick. I won't do like a real review. So for 1970, my top two horror movies. 70 wasn't a great year, and truthfully, I don't own any of these movies, but I have seen some of them. So the first one I'm going to pick is called Dunwich Horrors. It starred Sandra Lee and Dean Stockwell. And then the second movie I'm going to pick is a Joan Crawford movie, which was kind of interesting. I did like this one, and I do remember this one. It's called Trog, and it's basically they find this what they call a troglodyte in a cave, and the Joan Crawford character, tries to teach it human ways, and unfortunately there's some people in the business section of that particular area that is not fond of it, so they try to get rid of it, and it goes on a killing rampage. Kind of fun. All right, 71. There were a few in 71, actually, a few of which I own, but my two favorite, I'm going to go with Duel with Dennis Weaver. I don't know that it would 100% be classified as horror, but it has horror elements in it. But basically, Dennis Weaver is terrorized by a semi-truck on an open highway out in the desert. It's a lot of fun. And then the other one, I decided on Willard. There were a couple others I could have went with, but I remember seeing Willard, and that all them rats just freaked me out, and that starred Bruce Davison and Ernest Borgnine, and of course, later on, I think, came Ben, which was kind of the same movie, but not quite. 72 actually is when Ben came out. So the Willard was first. Basically, this guy has all these rats that are his family, friends, pets, whatever, and murder ensues. In 1972, once again, a big year. But I went with Frogs. I love that movie. I've always loved that movie. With Sam Elliott and Joan Van Ark. Sam Elliott is a photographer. He's out taking some pictures in this swampland to see the effects of pollution. And the effects of the pollution is actually that the animals go bonkers and kill people. Fun movie, interesting kills. Have everything from spiders to snakes to snapping turtles to alligators to birds. I mean, everything goes out in a killing spree, and the final scene is just kind of chilling, and it still to this day bothers me when I hear a lot of frogs croaking. So that one, and then I did go for Silent Night, Bloody Night over Ben, because that was the first horror Christmas movie I remember seeing. And I just remember it even as a kid watching it on late night TV with my brother Butch. Just a old classic horror, nothing too out of the range for that particular time of life in 1972. 1973 would be, for me, it was The Exorcist. And then I really loved Westworld with Yul Brynner. Of course, The Exorcist was probably the movie that scared my sister Gail the most. She could not sleep by herself for months after she saw that movie. And if you watch it today, it's still kind of creepy, but special effects are different nowadays, but it was really cool for back then. 1974, once again, another big year with a lot of movies. But I went with Black Christmas as my first favorite. I love that movie. I watch it every year, at least a couple times. And then, of course, the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But there were other movies in 1974 that were good too, that I own. 1975 was a hard year for me to pick. I immediately went for Jaws just because that movie kind of changed the way that I looked at horror movies. I mean, I remember loving The Birds and movies like that, but Jaws was just one of those movies that if you had any fear of the water before you saw this movie, you would never get anywhere near an ocean. So Jaws, definitely, and I loved these next two movies equally, but I put Race with the Devil a little bit higher up. It's one of those kind of The Hills Have Eyes without the inbreds, but yeah, very creepy. And then Bug, I loved Bug. I remember seeing that at a drive-in theater with my best friend Robert and his sister Judy, and the first movie was Rattlers, which is also, I think, was the same year, and Bug. And I just remember loving Bug. I hate snakes, so Rattler didn't do a whole lot for me. 76 was crazy. There were like 17 movies that I could have put on this list that I currently own, but I went with one of my very favorite movies of all time, and that's Carrie. That I always wanted those powers because I just wanted to kill people with my brain, but not really. But yeah, that movie just really sat heavy on me for a long time. I loved the book. I had read the book probably 2 times before I ever saw the movie. But I do remember going to the theater and seeing this and just being mesmerized by the whole thing. I did hate that they killed the gym teacher in the movie. That was the only part of the movie that really bothered me because it's so much different than the book. And she was a good character. They shouldn't have killed her. It pissed me off. And then one of my all-time favorites, and I know you've heard me talk about it, and I even bought the Steelbook, and I provided the brand new, never opened, never used VHS tape for this for them to use to make sure that they had everything. And that is Massacre at Central High. I love that movie. Love, love, love. Whenever I used to babysit for my brother's kids, they had cable, which I didn't in the little podunk town that I lived in. So yeah, I saw that movie several times on cable and loved it. All right, 77, another big year. I have 12 movies total that were on that list for 77 that I looked at. But I'm going to go with my 2 favorites, and being The Hills Have Eyes. That original one scared the bejesus out of me, and actually the remake was pretty good. But yeah, pretty terrifying movie. And then finally, The Car. I love that movie. I watched that over and over again, sort of like I do with Christine. I just think it's a fun little, easy to watch horror movie. And finally, 1978. The year they're on right now. Of course, my very favorite movie of that year or any year is Halloween. I absolutely love that movie. But there were a lot of movies in 78 that were really, really good. But for my number 2, I went ahead and went with Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Of course, Halloween's Jamie Lee and Dr. Loomis before he's wackadoo. He was kind of wackadoo, but not straight up balls to the wall crazy like he is in some of the later Halloweens. But yeah, Invasion of the Body Snatchers was a remake, of course. It may have been the second remake, I don't know. But I loved this version. I loved the lead actor. I loved Veronica Cartwright. I thought she was really good in it. There were a lot of characters that were really good, but there was just something exciting about the way they filmed this movie and the pods and everything. I just absolutely love that movie. So next week is 1979, and I will be on time. So sorry for the long video. I just wanted to get caught up. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.